Ryan was full of life. I know that sounds cliche. He loved the outdoors. He loved snowboarding, going up north, fishing. Yeah, I know one of the things that he always wanted to do was go to like hike Havasupai Falls and stuff like that, which he didn't get to do. He loved all the competitive things because he always won. He won every cornhole tournament. He was always on the winning softball team, whatever it was. He always won darts.
Was he humble, or did he like to let you
Oh,
know
no.
that
No, he loved everybody knowing that he was the best at everything and that he was going to win. He was a father. He had 2 children and had just learned that he was going to be a grandfather before he was killed. He was everyone's favorite uncle. So all of the nieces and nephews, which I have a ton, loved their Uncle Ryan, Rai, if you will. He was a picky eater. Christmas Eve, we always have like tamales, the traditional Christmas Mexican food. He'd be like, as long as there's bean and cheese burritos there, and he would say, what do I need vegetables for? My vegetables right here. And it was his beer, so. The day Ryan was killed, we were celebrating his daughter's graduation from high school, and he left there and went back to his apartment, and he and his girlfriend were playing really loud country music, making salsa, and then started playing like a video game. Like I said, Ryan is like very, very competitive, so there's a lot of like yelling and like loud voices because he's just like freaking out that he's not winning or whatever it is. So I guess it got really loud, and the upstairs neighbor called 911 and said that he thought there was some domestic dispute downstairs. The neighbor called 911 again and said, no one's been here, what's going on? The 911 operator asked, do you believe that they have weapons? Do you believe someone's being hurt? And he said, I'll say whatever you need me to say as long as that gets the police here faster.
Does it sound like it's escalated to anything physical, or it still just sounds verbal?
Oh, it could be physical. I could say, yeah. Does that make anybody hurry up and get over here any faster?
What are you hearing?
So the police officers get to his door and they bang on the door. My brother had issues with people in the complex, and so he was on guard. He had a late night knock, like I think just 1 or 2 weeks prior to that, where he heard a woman screaming and someone banged on his door, and so he went to his door. No one was there. He was a legal gun owner, so he did go to his nightstand, take out his gun, and go to the door. He opens the door really fast and peeks out like, what? Who's there? Both officers were standing on the side. That's why they weren't viewable from the peephole. When he steps out of his apartment, the one officer notices he has a gun in his hand, which is pointed to the ground, and says, hands, hands, hands. And Ryan immediately goes down to lower his gun. He has his left hand up in the air, and the officer that's standing on this side behind him starts firing. The officer shoots him twice in the back. His girlfriend starts screaming and comes out of the door and asks, why did you shoot him? Why did you shoot him? And they immediately start the false narrative that he pointed a gun at us, which he never does. It's clear as day in the video. The one officer immediately takes her out of the apartment, just a step over Ryan, takes her over to the side and just starts interviewing her right away. Just drilling her with questions, still saying he pointed a gun at us, he pointed a gun at us. My husband woke me up and said, Katie, you need to get up. I think something happened to Ryan. And he's like, you need to call your mom. I call my mom, and she can barely speak, and she's obviously distraught. I'm like, just say it, Mom, just say it. What is going on? And she said, I still can't even believe it. She's like, he was shot by a police officer. And I'm like, what? Like, what? My family were a lot of law enforcement supporters. So she trusted what they were telling her. I immediately was like, they murdered my brother, because there's no freaking way that he did what they said that he did. There's no way. So, of course, my parents wanted to see him immediately. I remember my dad screaming at the medical examiner's office, I just want to see my son. You know, it was just freaking heartbreaking. It's such a dehumanizing process because you're treated like you're under investigation. You know, they call my brother a suspect from the very beginning. So he's listed as a suspect, which means he has no rights, which means we have no right. He's charged with aggravated assault on a police officer in the police report. So when your person is killed by a cop, you don't get notified that are they on suspension? Did they get their job back? When they did get their job back, are they in a cop car in this neighborhood that me and my kids and my niece and my nephew live in? So every time a cop car drives by one of us, it's like, is that him? You don't get to know any of that information. He did get fired. And then I think it was 2 months after that, he got his job back on the appeal. He got a 2-month vacation and then got his job back and got back pay. He got a glowing review, a raise, and it was even mentioned in his review how well he handled the situation.
The reckless action of your officer took my brother's life. If he was a citizen without a badge, he would be in jail charged with murder.
It's left a really big hole in our family. I can't speak for his children, but as anyone could imagine, like, they don't have their dad. My niece won't have her dad to walk her down the aisle. He'll never meet his grandchildren. We try to have fun because that's what Ryan would want. It's hard to get through like a family gathering without someone, you know, walking off by themselves and breaking down in the corner or crying because they feel that, you just feel the energy of him not being there. I am part of the Family Justice Collective. Basically, when Ryan was first killed, we didn't know where to turn, who to get answers from, and just having them reach out to me with like basic information that you don't even think to do. Getting a second autopsy. Who knows when we would have ever gotten a medical examiner's report. We knew he had been shot in the back before we would have known. What I think families should know if this situation unfortunately happens to them is to not put any trust in the police and what their narrative is, and to go with what you know and believe of your person. Yeah, I mean, if Ryan was still here, he'd still be winning at everything. He would know who his grandson is, which I believe he does know his grandson, but his grandson would know him. That's the difference. My one brother owns a company, and they had just been talking about, you know, joining force. So who knows what would have happened with all of that. He would probably be in a completely different place, like financially and everything by now, and be able to, you know, take that time off to go to have his Supai Falls.
the Harlem Shake.